How do children learn?
Welcome to Parenting Matters Now, a source of parenting advice a few minutes at a time.
Hi, this is Dr. Roger Smith of the Parenting Matters Now. Children are little sponges, and their minds are open to learning. But how do they learn? There's a lot of different ways that people get information, and so we refer to that as that they are auditory, or they are kinesthetic, or they may have more of a visual input. But that's the how they receive information. But the question is, how do they learn? And it's a simple answer: by asking questions. Asking questions is the process by which they take the information and store it away. My problem with the school approach, schools tend to answer questions that children are not asking. And so therefore they have difficulty learning. But in the process of a child asking the question, their brain is opened up to the whole idea of the answer. And so if we give the answer before the question, it is much more difficult for the child's brain to process that, to store it, to put it in the right place. And so we as parents have this privilege of being able to watch our children ask questions. In fact, they ask too many questions sometimes, and they want to know why this and why that. And in the early days, the why is really seeking to understand the information. In the teenage years, the why is really asking, why are you in my way? So we need to understand the questions that the children are asking, because the words don't always confer what is the essence of the question. But when children are asking questions, it is a great opportunity for them to learn. And so it's not necessarily that we are compelled to give them all the information right then. Our role as parents is to foster, encourage, and sometimes even push them to ask questions and to question the answers even. So questioning is the process by which a child learns. And they may get that information visually, kinesthetic, by touching, feeling, moving, by hearing, auditory. There are ways for them to get the information, but it begins with the question. And so we need to encourage our children to ask questions. And sometimes we have to train them how to ask questions. And so where there's an opportunity to learn something, instead of just giving the lesson and explaining something that you're seeing, you may have to start with the question, and point out something, go, what do you see there? Why do you think this object is sitting right here? What do you think about that? What does that look like? So we sometimes train them to begin to formulate questions and model for them the question formation process. And so if they go with you to the store, whether it's a grocery store or a hardware store, or furniture, any place where you are doing some shopping, you in essence are asking questions. And let your children in on the process. Let them hear you asking the salesperson at the hardware store, saying, here's my problem. I don't know how to fix it. Can you help me? Can you explain this to me? Can you show me what my options are? And it's a process of getting we're asking questions, trying to get to the solution that we don't know the answer to. But in doing that, if your children are part of you pursuing answers to your own questions, and they can see that you ask questions and get information and then reevaluate, and that is a model for teaching children how to learn. They are natural little sponges. They want to learn. And so as parents, we can model the questioning process, because that's where learning begins. I saw a sign many years ago in the hospital. There was a poster by the elevator, and I don't remember actually who the quote was from, but it says, "To question is the answer. And, we could carry that statement too far, but the concept is to begin to get answers, we have to start with a question. Training your children and allowing your question to ask questions. And even if you don't know, it's best not to make up the answer and go, I don't know. Let's find out. And then you help them to find someone else to ask the question to find the information. Or saying, I don't know. Let's look in a book. I don't know. Let's find someone who knows. But the questioning process is something that we have to do throughout all our life. And the earlier you train your children how to ask good questions, to pursue the answers, you're doing them a great favor. It's Dr. Roger Smith of Parenting Matters Now.
Subscribe to Parenting Matters Now for more advice, or go to rogersmithmd.com to search for more topics. See you next time.